What happened to the Lake Show last night? Well, David Shepard and I are going to break it all down for you guys here in this next edition of Sideline Sports Podcast. Welcome to Sideline Sports Podcast. If you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast. And we welcome you all back to another episode of Sideline Sports Podcast. I am the host, Alex Naveja. If you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast. If you guys like all of our social media platforms, or if you guys like all of the content we're putting out there, follow us on all of our social media platforms. Follow us. And we'll also, while you guys are down there, hit the subscribe button down below. But without further ado, let's get straight to the business. On my left-hand side, that is David Shepard, CBS Sports Radio host, and he's a very busy man this time of year. David, what's going on? We thank you so much for jumping on for this quick minute.
Alex, my pleasure, man. Always good to be on with you. Yeah, we might witness, when it comes to Tuesday, the first time ever in NBA history, 2 sweeps in the conference finals. This is unbelievable what we are witnessing. No pun intended for, of course, LeBron James getting swept on Monday.
Absolutely. I mean, but the other side of the Eastern Conference Finals, I mean, going on with the Heat and the Celtics, looks like the Heat are taking care of business too. So it's going to look like it's going to be the Heat and the Nuggets. But let's talk about last night's game. I mean, Lakers were up by 10. They lost that lead. Nuggets, they just execute so well last minute in the second half of the game. What happened in your eyes? What did you see go on with the Lake Show?
Well, look, the reality is you had a 38-year-old who was in year 20 that has played more minutes than everybody in NBA history, not named Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And he seemed to want it more than everybody else. And that's a big problem when you have Anthony Davis. And obviously, we know the inconsistencies. It's very well documented. But the truth of the matter is, when it comes to LeBron James, 31 first-half points, he simply ran out of gas. And when you got to the fourth quarter, he had no legs. So on that final drive, you saw Jamal Murray. Now, last time I checked, Jamal Murray is not Sidney Moncrief. He's not Alvin Robertson. He's not Chris Paul in his prime. He's not supposed to stop LeBron James. And so you saw LeBron James have to carry too much of the burden on Monday, and it obviously reared its ugly head when he was only held to 9 second-half points after going for 31 first-half points. So it's a shame. I know a lot is going to be made about his retirement, but the reality is you and I both know he's not going out like this.
I don't see him going down without a fight either. To him, it's a bust. But honestly, to the whole entire Lakers fan base, this is a team that exceeded expectations. This was a team that, remember, before the trade deadline, they were 13th in the Western Conference, make a couple of moves. They jump into the 7th seed, go to the play-in, beat the Memphis Grizzlies, beat the Warriors, and they still kept up with the Denver Nuggets. I'm not going to say that they didn't, because they still kept up with them. And this is a season that you should not be disappointed with. Laker fans, you guys are spoiled. The Lakers went this far, a 7-seed team, to defeat Ja Morant and the Grizzlies. That was already exceeding expectations. To beat the defending champions, Golden State Warriors, I still think they exceeded expectations. The Warriors are still a very good playoff team, and I just think here in LA, a lot of fans are already talking down, LeBron, he's not the greatest of all time. No, like LeBron is definitely going to go down as one of the greatest of all times, especially during this playoff run.
Well, Alex, listen, I mean, the reality is LeBron James did his part. I give credit to Austin Reeves, an individual that has certainly ascended. He's going to hit it big in free agency. Rui Hachimura, I thought, fit in so seamlessly with this Lakers squad. The problem is LeBron can't do everything. And when you have D'Angelo Russell, who is an all-star caliber point guard, just not show up in this series. I mean, he didn't show up. Now, say what you will about what he did against the Warriors. At least he was serviceable. At least he averaged 15 points per game. You know, he was a legitimate starter. I didn't recognize that guy in the Western Conference Finals. And listen, we see it with the Denver Nuggets. As great as Nikola Jokic is, and he is phenomenal, He has Mr. Fourth Quarter Jamal Murray. He has AG, a.k.a. Aaron Gordon, going for 20-plus points in a game 4. He has Bruce Brown consistently giving them double digits off the bench. When you get this far in the season, which is a conference finals or even an NBA finals, you can't just rely on one guy. You can't just rely on two guys. It has to be an absolute collaboration, a team-oriented effort. And the reality is there's a lot of Lakers that just disappeared in this series. No, LeBron James, we're never going to see a guy log this many minutes in year 20, still be able to be the best or second best guy on the court. And like you said, not only beating the Memphis Grizzlies, the number 2 seed, but giving them a 40-piece, beating them by 40 points in that game 6, and then the Warriors beating them by 20-plus points in game 6 of the Western Conference semifinals. No, to your point, Alex, great observation on your part. This was the best second-half team in the Western Conference. For a 7 seed to get to a conference finals, the Lakers deserve all the credit in the world, and LeBron James specifically deserves even more.
And to finish things off here, David, I mean, the Denver Nuggets, they absolutely deserve to go to the NBA Finals. This is a complete team. They have everything that you can ask for in a team. They've got transition defense, transition offense. They got a great three-point shooting team. They know how to pass the ball around every offensive possession. It just looked like a chess match. Guys moving around all over the place, getting the Lakers defense off status quo, and not looking very good for the Lakers. And if it wasn't Jamal Murray on his game, it was Nikola Jokic who was going to be on it. If none of them were going to be on the game, you got role players like KCP that's going to step up. You got Michael Porter Jr. that was going to step up, and even Brown was going to step up, and they even had the bench to go along with it too. I just didn't see the Lakers really having enough to be able to keep up with the Denver Nuggets and even still try to stretch it down. The Nuggets, they were the better team going into this one, and if you really analyze in every facet of the game, they definitely looked better.
Yeah, and I mean, look, the reality is they play team basketball. I mean, Alex, you got 2 eyes. You saw what happened yesterday, right? I mean, obviously, the reality is there was a lot of ball watching with the LA Lakers. There wasn't a lot of ball movement. There wasn't a lot of crashing the glass. And so you saw Nikola Jokic. I mean, he's a point center out there, but it seems like the Nuggets, they move without the ball. And every single person knows their role, whether it's Jeff Green, Bruce Brown, AG, KCP, a.k.a. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They have been there, done that. I think the underrated aspect of the Denver Nuggets, and it's not being talked about enough, is the championship pedigree that Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has given them. Now, he wasn't great in that game 4. That was the Nikola Jokic show. But the reality is you have so many pieces on the Nuggets that are living up to expectation, often exceeding it. Whereas the LA Lakers, I mean, listen, I'm sorry. Anthony Davis, that was not an all-world, first all-NBA team caliber performance. And when you are LeBron James and you're looking at the landscape of the LA Lakers, this isn't somebody you can rely on moving forward. Like, I mean, that's like relying gas prices to come down. That's like relying, on the inflation to come down. It ain't gonna happen. And so we know what Anthony Davis is at this point, and we know what he is not. And LeBron James is looking in year 21, year 22, and he's saying, I can't have that guy be my partner in crime. And Alex, pay attention to this. Who is the individual that kept showing up at the Lakers games in the playoffs, courtside?
Oh, man, I know where you're going with this. You're going with this.
He's reliable.
Absolutely.
When he plays, he's reliable. When he plays, he's reliable, right? And so with that guy, he's not afraid of the big moment. He's going to show up more often than not. Say whatever you want about his positions in terms of social issues, and that's a whole nother discussion you and I can get into that we certainly do not have time for. But that's the guy, believe it or not, that LeBron James wants to hitch his wagon to, and that's saying something.
It kind of gave me some signs that, maybe they could get him in the purple and gold, baby. He might maybe just join in with the Lake Show next season. I think that'd be a great addition. But you know what? We're going to call it short here today, David, because we're going to leave everybody with that cliffhanger about who we're talking about. If you guys don't know who, do a little research as to who we're talking about. You guys might find out in a future edition of Sideline Sports Podcast. We still have NBA free agency that we'll talk about down the line. Baseball. We are definitely going to be having some baseball coverage for the next couple of weeks. Thank you so much for tuning into this one. Once again, on my left-hand side, that was David Shepard. A quick little breakdown as far as what happened to the Lake Show last night, as to why they got eliminated so early in the postseason, and maybe what to expect down the line. But David, thank you so much for jumping on. The best of luck to you and everything.
My pleasure, Alex. Thanks for having me, man. Enjoy the finals.
There we go. NBA Finals, June 1st. I am Alex Naveja from Sideline Sports Podcast saying thank you so much for tuning in this one. Hasta luego. Buenas tardes, everybody, and enjoy the NBA playoffs.